This is the Ridgehunter Outdoors podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 54. I'm Kenyon Clark here with Scott and Jeff. Nate couldn't make it in tonight, so it's the three of us again. We're going to talk a little bit about Hunter's in here. I don't know if she's going to talk or not. She's the producer in training. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about what's just been going on with us hunting-wise. I think I've done more hunting than you guys since the last podcast, but I know you guys have been once, and it was, you didn't get skunked anyway. It was at least a decent sit, I think.
Jeff's been more than once. I've been once. I've been working.
Yeah, I've been a few times. Went back behind the property. What night was that? I don't even remember. Saturday night, maybe? And I put my camera up back there on a fence post and try to see what's back there. And, of course, the first night I'm back there, I'm sitting in the stand, and I see I heard a doe blowing. Actually, I texted you, and I said, is Canyon hunting on the food plot? No, he just left the shop. I'm like, well, there's a doe blowing down that area, but it sounds like she's in the woods. And you said, well, no, he ain't down there. And I said, well, I don't know what she's blowing at. And then a few seconds later, here comes a coyote. And I texted you again, well, I know what she was blowing at.
Mm-hmm.
And he come running up there. I could have shot him, but I didn't want to waste a $20 arrow and broadhead on a coyote. Yeah. And so, anyways, he took off, and then here come the doe, and what was there, 3 fawns? I showed you video.
I believe so, yeah.
3 fawns followed her up. She was tracking him, the coyote, and they meandered around and took off. And then right about dark, I was sitting there, and then here come a bobcat. And I was trying to get pictures of him on my phone, but it was too dark.
Where were you sitting that night, you said?
On the north end of my property.
Okay.
And then I didn't get to go the next morning. I should have, but I didn't. I had other things I was wanting to do, and I didn't want to get tied up because I figured that with my luck, there'd be deer under me, and I wouldn't be able to do what I was wanting to do. So I just stayed at home, and me and Scott went that evening, and I probably wouldn't even seen the deer, except for Scott texted me and said, hey, there, Scrappy Jr.'s on his way to you.
Yeah.
And so I looked up, and here come this forkhorn. He got straight downwind from me. I thought, man, I'm busted. Mm-hmm. If he's like any of the does in the Tri-County, he's going to smell me and start blowing like a fool. Well, I just bought some of that calming. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
I just got some of that calming spray that you put out. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as I seen where he was, I gave about 3 squirts of that up in the air around me and gave myself a squirt or 2. And he threw his head up in the air, and he smelled that, and then here he come, like he was on a string. He come within 5 yards of me, underneath my stand, looking up at me. I mean, he knew where I was at. He just didn't know what I was.
Yeah.
He stood there and smelled around, walked around, and pillow farted around, and finally he decided there wasn't no deer there, so he ambered on about his way. But that was the only thing I've seen. That was Sunday night.
Yes.
And then I had to go back to work Monday. And
so it sounds like if you just sprayed this stuff out around where he was at, it probably would have been okay. As far, I mean,
well, I was okay anyway.
But he wouldn't have looked at you.
Well, he didn't know what I was. I was 30 foot up in the tree.
Right.
I know that because I took my climber and had a 30-foot rope. Yeah, and I felt it pull, and I was like, oh, crap, that's high enough. A lot higher than I intended to be.
Yeah.
You know.
That bobcat I got a picture of there on the field edge. I got another, like we was talking about before, we get about one a year, seems like.
Yep.
And I finally got that picture, so.
Well, I was sitting there, and it was getting dark.
Decent-sized cat.
Yeah, it was getting dark, and I'm sitting there, and I was watching for deer along the standing corn where the mother ones come out, because I thought maybe a buck might follow them does out. And for some reason, I just caught something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked down, and I was like, what the heck is that? You know, it was just sneaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to looking. First, I thought it was a fox, and I got to looking. No, it ain't got no tail. And I was like, well, that's a bobcat. So it was too dark to shoot or anything like that, and I don't have a tag anyway. So, you know, I was trying to get pictures of it, turn the flash on my phone. I'm just taking random shots, hoping he's in frame, and I didn't get him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the trail camera did. I haven't been back there.
You haven't checked that yet?
I haven't been back there to check it yet.
Your camera that you put.
I took my camera from Hamilton County because with gun season and everything else coming up, and I'm done hunting down there anyways. All the out-of-staters and people are hunting in public land. So I didn't take my camera down because I was afraid somebody'd take it. I took my camera down because I'm not going to hunt there till.
Doesn't do you much good.
Yep, I'm going to hunt around the house, so I wanted to see what was on the north end of the property, so I put my camera up back there. And like I said, I know I had a coyote, some deer, and some bobcat within 2 hours of after putting it up because I was sitting there right beside the camera.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, we got him on the other camera for sure. I don't know what night it was that I had him. I don't remember looking at the date, but definitely got him on there.
Yeah, I haven't pulled my card. We may have him on the plot camera. We'll have to see.
I'm hoping we have a lot of things on the plot.
Yeah,
camera.
me too. If you're by there, you can pull that card tomorrow.
I'm going to go there and, well, I'm not going to hunt the plot in the morning. I'm going to, the way the wind's going to be, and they shelled the corn on the east side of the woods. I can't hunt on the north end because it's going to be blowing my scent clear across that whole field.
Tomorrow being Friday, I always got to remember that this is Thursday and this comes out Monday, so we need to clarify.
Yeah, tomorrow being Friday, the it's supposed to start out at 40 degrees, and then the temperature's supposed to drop all morning long.
Pretty much drop, like all day, I think. Yep. Maybe 50 in the early morning shooting light or something like that, but
maybe
high 40s, yeah, something like that.
I'm going to put an extra layer on anyway. So, but if the wind was out of the northeast, I'd hunt on the north end of the woods in that ladder stand.
Correct.
But
you're right.
Yeah, I think I'd get away with it. But out of the northwest, especially that shelled corn right there on the east side, and I'm in the I'm in the northeast corner of the woods. I don't think it's going to work out too well, and I don't want to take that gamble. So I'm going to go about middle of the woods, set up. I'm just going to sit in my chair and along the edge so I can shoot the edge out towards the cornfield, but also shoot one of the rare opening spaces in the timber. I'm hoping that, if there's a buck in there.
Hell, there's a lot of open spaces in the timber.
Yeah, but I mean, the open spaces you can open spaces you can shoot a deer in.
There used to be a lot of nice white oaks in there.
Yeah, used to be. But anyways, it is what it is. But actually, I think that woods holds the property or holds the deer a lot better on that property since we logged that out.
Yeah, it definitely does. They weren't going to stay in there before being open.
No, they come. Well, you could, it's 20 acres is all it is. And you drive down the road, you can see all the way through. It's a lot longer than it is wide.
Right.
It's not a square; it's a rectangle. And so if you was driving, yeah. So
wait a minute.
If you was driving down the road on the west side of it, you can see all the way through it. Well, now you can't see.
No.
Shit, you can't see 10 foot inside of it now.
In places.
Yeah.
Well, on the north edge you can because it's still got some big timber in there.
Yeah, but there ain't no woods or no road on the north end of the woods.
Correct.
But along the west edge, you can't see in there at all. And so it's holding more deer and that's been, 5 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. 2017, so yeah. It's been 5 years ago. And it's got new growth and briars and all the stuff that deer like, plus all the treetops still. And so it's holding deer now where before it wouldn't.
Yeah. which I think is helping this time of year because now's the time that I think that we might start seeing some bucks come in there and check some does, you know.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I put the camera up there on that end of the woods, too.
Yep.
You know,
I thought about with this northwest wind hunting the plot maybe one morning or one evening sometime this weekend, but
Boy, since the leaves are gone, you can sure see that stand.
yeah, I know it. Well, I sat in there on the evening of the 1st, and the sun was just blinding me because that persimmon tree in front, they don't hold their leaves very long at all. And when the sun was going down, sitting in that stand, it's tough looking right into the sun.
Oh, over the food plot?
Yeah.
Last time I was out by there, you could see that stand for
Yeah, you can see those bright green
long
straps.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't see the food plot, though, still.
No, well, no, the corn's not. I mean, the switchgrass after the corn's what's helping there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know what it looks like from the east now that the corn's gone on the neighbors there.
I haven't seen it in daylight. It's dark when I leave to go to work and dark when I come home.
Yeah.
The corn was holding good till we got them hurricane winds last weekend. It kind of blew some of the tops out of the corn, but
Well, when I went and checked the cameras, ours still looked decent. So
yeah.
I mean, it was enough. I just don't know how much of that foxtail and stuff that he knocked down when he was shelling corn.
I don't know. I'll be able to tell you tomorrow.
Later down. Yeah.
But
I think it'll be potentially could be a good sit because, like I said, this right now with the does that we're holding in there ought to be some coming in, and the bucks are going to be, they know they're in there. So they're thinking about coming through and checking that.
Yep.
You might run into one. Potentially.
yeah, it's just like anything else. You got to be there at the right place at the right time, you know.
Yeah, not like me today. I had
Was you not there?
I had my first daylight shooters on camera. I had 3 shooters. This is not at your place, but 3 shooters.
Make sure you clarify that.
Yeah. One at 8:45, the other one right after him at 8:45. They come in one behind another, and then one at 12:08. First midday picture I've got this year, especially of a buck. All 3 of them deer that I would shoot, and wasn't there.
I've always heard that, of course, we've been going through the full moon phase here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, well, Sunday night when we got down, we could have sat up there all night long, I think, and shot a deer because
I put my stand and put my climber together without a flashlight.
Yeah, I mean, I was casting a shadow in the woods,
it's bright right
you know,
now.
and so, but I always heard that during the full moon phase, that when the moon is directly under you is the best time to hunt, which would
Dusty was talking about that last week.
which would be noon, you know, and I think that falls back to the part of the 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock hours. You know, a lot of guys do.
Well, it was
they stay out that
rising
long.
about 6, 7 o'clock. Well, no, I take that back. Like 5 o'clock probably, because when I was in the stand of the evening, I could see it coming up. You know, but yeah, it's probably, I guess, right underneath of us there midday today probably.
Yeah.
So that could explain some of it for sure. And it's that time of year. I talked today on the Full Draw Friday episode about this lockdown that's coming up within the next 5 or 6 days. Before we do the next podcast, they'll have hit lockdown, and that's when you got to hunt. If you're like, there's 2 ways to do it. Is what I talked about. It. You can either put your time in the stand and just sit all day and hope you catch him going from doe to doe, or you can do the whole opposite and just be mobile and get out in the truck and do some glassing and see if you can find one in an open field or a fence row lockdown and do some rattling, like what we talked about before with going to a spot and rattling and moving on and that, or doing some still hunting maybe. But either way, this is a time of year where you kind of got to be out there about all day. You know, it's not where traditionally you're out there for the first 3 hours and the last 3 hours. Yeah. Not to say you can't get it done that way, but you're going to up your odds if you're out there in the middle of the day. It seems like a lot of big deer get killed every day or every year around this time from 10 to 2 o'clock. You know, and I was talking to Dusty's old man about that this past week.
Yeah.
He was in the shop, and he was talking about how he's likes that midday time frame this time of year, too. We were talking about how many big deer get killed every year from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
The biggest deer I killed was at 1:30 on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
You know.
And it's that way from probably end of the second week of November on through the third week, probably you can kill
Pretty
them
much
like that.
guaranteed at 1:30 on Thanksgiving Day, I'm full, fat, and asleep.
Yeah, yeah, but I wasn't. And so I waited till, I don't even know what time I went out there, 11 o'clock. That's where I was hunting the bottoms on the river. And even whenever I was riding the four-wheeler across the field, you know, I seen deer moving around and stuff, and I thought, man, this ain't going to be good. But I thought it could be good, you know, so I went ahead and climbed up in my stand. I wasn't there a couple hours, and my target buck that I had multiple pictures of, then he disappeared, and he just happened to show up there at 1:30. And so I was glad I was there at that time, you know, because it all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Hightower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what you had named that deer.
Yeah.
I think he's the one in the picture of for the podcast.
Yeah,
isn't
he is.
Yep. That's the one in the podcast picture. So,
Yep. I hunted that deer hard for 2 weeks, and actually a little bit longer than that, but I mean really hard, you know, where I was sitting out there all day, every day that I was on vacation. And it all come together eventually, but man, I had to put time in. It was a lot of disappointments.
Yep.
So,
well, Jeff's getting his Bible verse.
Yep.
How you went and saw a few deer too that
I did.
evening you and Jeff
I
went.
did. I didn't see any shooters, but I seen some activity, so it was worth it. I could have shot, chose not to. Sent little Scrappy Junior Jeff's way. Oh, I didn't send him that way. He went that way. I gave Jeff fair warning he was coming.
yeah.
I got a picture of a deer that we were trying to decide was Scrappy or not. It looked like he had there's the one you guys call Scrappy, the one that looks like he might have another main beam on his right side.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or he's got a point and a main beam or something. Goofy
He's all
on.
jacked up on that one side. We can't.
Yeah.
We've
I got
never
him
really
there.
had good enough pictures or video to decide what he is.
I don't know if I saved that one or not, but I got a picture of him there in the middle of the woods. So I figured that was probably that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to be on the food plot camera. Man, when I stepped in the first couple of rows of our corn and looked in there, and we got that stand of Grandpa Ray's stuff it looks good.
It's all Grandpa Ray's. What are you talking about?
Well, the clover's our stuff.
Oh,
The Ridge Hunter stuff.
I thought the clover was Grandpa Ray's too.
No, that's the Ridge Hunter stuff.
My bad.
Yeah, well, that's either 6-1, half a dozen either.
Yeah.
But no, the Grandpa Ray's the fall blend, and the oats and all that. It looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's radishes in there that are sticking out of the ground 6-8 inches.
Yep.
I mean, and it looked like they'd been starting to nip the tops of them. So
Had they?
I really expect after we get this hard frost that'll, because we've only had like one frost, maybe two.
We're going to get them this weekend.
Yeah. I look for them to start, and it's going to be hard on that clover too. So
Yeah.
I look for them to start hitting that stuff pretty hard too. I'm curious to see what's on that card right now.
Yeah.
Especially with just the potential of some bucks cruising through there.
Yeah. I'll tomorrow, whether I do any good or not, I'll walk by there and I'll pull that card out and bring it up here, and we'll check it out and see what's going on.
I'm hoping there's something on there.
Excuse me. I'm hoping so too. We hadn't had nothing for a while.
No, but I mean, we've got some pretty good reconnaissance
Intel.
and pretty good intel.
Well, we got 4 cameras around the property now. There ain't
Got 4
nothing
cameras on 20 acres.
there ain't nothing getting out there.
I got one on the only edge that doesn't have a road on it, on the north end, in the middle of it, and on the south end. So if they coming in and out of there, we ought to know it.
Yeah. So
I didn't have any shooters on the other cameras. I did have one cool picture of, like, was there 6 does in that one picture?
Yeah,
the
at least
middle of
5, maybe 6. Yeah.
So that was at least a cool picture, I thought. And it was interesting to me, and it's partially because it's been so warm, but we did have that little cold snap that killed a lot of the leaves. Mm-hmm. So the leaves are all falling, but shoot, it's still been 65, 70 degrees. Our food plot in the woods has actually got enough sunlight after the leaves come off the trees to come up some.
That started growing.
Yeah. Did you get the video I sent? Could you see it at all?
Yeah, I
to the
could,
group.
well, I could tell that it was green.
Yeah, I mean that some of that triticale and some of the kale in that Grandpa Ray blend that I put out there is coming up pretty good. I mean, it's not full like it would have been had it had enough sunlight all year or all fall, but it's definitely enough that I think they're probably eating on it.
Yeah,
which is probably what those does were doing in the middle of that.
and it's had a little bit of rain to give a little bit of boost too.
Yeah,
That's just like down there at Hamilton County. The last time I was down there and I looked at that food plot, well, it was a lot greener. And what I'd sowed, I guess it was probably had already sprouted, but it was just kind of laying there waiting for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not that it don't get enough sunlight. It probably does, but it's getting more sunlight now.
Yeah, that
plus,
right there probably gets plenty. But
and plus it had a couple douses of rain, and man, last time I was there, it really shot up. And the last videos that we got off of that, you could see the deer out there eating on it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Just because you plant something in the fall and it's not doing what you think it should do, just give it some time and be patient and let things come together. And until you get really hard freezes that's just kills everything. Give it a chance. It may produce for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those cabin plots are the same way. Of course, I planted those on. Boy, it was late. It was October, well into October, middle October, and they're starting to now that they've got some rain. Because had I planted them, I could have planted them a month earlier than that, maybe a month and a half, and they still wouldn't have done any better because we didn't have any rain.
Right.
But I put them in there in mid-October, and now they're starting to get some of that, some of the wheat and the rye. Winter rye is coming up, and the brassicas are starting to come up too now. And they're definitely eating on it by looking at the cameras. You can tell they're in there eating on it. And one of them is not as good as the other, and I think it's because they're eating it a little more, the browse pressure. And the turkeys have been just really hard on it. But that group of 8 that's there, I've seen them roost twice now, once on the north end and then once on the south end right there south of the food plot. So when I told you guys I saw the turkey try to fight the spike, they went around and messed around just right south of the plot in that little patch of timber. And then as it got dark, they all went up and roosted there right before it got dark, just right south of the plot on us.
Good.
So they're staying there. I'm hoping this spring we'll have some gobblers in there after them. I might try to pull a Jefferson County tag for one season and a Wayne County tag. Maybe I'll kill a couple. But I think it'd be cool to have them on there anyway.
Yeah, it's just cool to have them right now.
Well, don't buy an archery tag.
I already did.
You ain't gonna.
Which is why I haven't seen any toms probably.
Yep.
And it's all been hens.
Last year I was beat to death by tom turkeys and I didn't have a tag. Now this year I can't find one to save my life.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes, seems like.
Yep.
Well, we can have a tag burning party then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year if I win a bobcat tag, I guarantee you I won't see a bobcat, but I'll have one climb the tree up in the stand with me this year.
Yeah. I know plenty
It
of
was
guys.
self-defense.
Well,
Yeah,
your boss is probably one of them, but I know several guys that could call you in a bobcat.
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple guys that say they can call one in anytime they want to. One of them I know, none of his buddies got a tag. I put in a tag because he reminded me to do it. Didn't get one. And there was one other guy. No, maybe not. I can't remember if Nate put in for one or not. I don't think he ended up doing it. But Chris's boy got drawn for one, I saw. But he's the only one person that I know of that actually got drawn for a bobcat tag.
My boss got drawn for one, and
So there's 2.
but bobcat season doesn't start till November 10th.
Right, yeah.
And
Which
is in now.
yeah,
just today.
yeah, but Sunday,
Well, Thursday.
Saturday
Thursday.
night it wasn't, and so
2022.
it's a good thing I didn't.
Thanks, Siri.
Good thing I didn't shoot that bobcat, even if I did have a tag, because it wouldn't have been in season. But
Well, had
Yeah.
you had a tag, you would have known what the season.
that is true,
Mm-hmm.
since I'm not a big cat hunter.
Are they considered a big cat? I'd say they're a small cat.
Well, it's a lot bigger
They're
than the house
medium-sized.
cats running around.
They're a medium-sized cat.
They're big enough that my
Man,
life-
there's a lot of those freaking house cats, too.
yeah.
I get pictures of them all the time. I see them from the stand. About half the time I go in and sit in the stand, I'll see a cat.
Take your air
house
rifle with you.
You know, I could. No one for the big buck contest, and he's broke in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lay him to waste.
Probably take care of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I do think Well, I know for a fact that night hunting for coyotes has come in because my boss, he went out last night and shot one at 2
It's like
o'clock.
November 5th or something, isn't it?
Yeah, he put a 204 in a coyote's head last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah. So
What time does he come to work?
he's on vacation.
Oh, okay.
He's hunting. I mean, he is hunting 24 hours a day. He was parked at work deer hunting across the lot this morning.
Yeah.
I guess rubbing it in that he was on vacation. The rest of us having to work. But
the day that I saw Spencer, who I think could probably go Boone and Crockett after seeing him in person, if he wasn't all busted up, which, again, I know a guy I know a lady who could fix those. But the day I saw him and he got my wind, which was the day you guys went hunting, I think, I had 2 coyotes come in, and they come in the only strip, like all the way to 50 yards out that I couldn't shoot. And they came in around behind me, and one of them was probably 10 yards behind me, but I couldn't move to turn around and shoot him, or I would have. I'd have shot one of them, but they just come in and turned around and went right back out, and I never did get to shoot at him, but I did see a couple in there.
yeah,
I see them pretty regular up there on what I've been referring to as the North Farm. So I did see a couple of them. That morning was the best hunt I've had. I saw, so those coyotes come in. I had I can't remember if that was before or after. I had a little fork horn or 5-point come in, and he was down in the little pond there. And then I saw a nice buck. I couldn't tell exactly what he was, but he was a decent buck that went, 60, 70 yards in front of me. And I saw his antlers shining in the sun. He was a bigger bodied deer. So he's pretty good. So I grunted at him a couple times. Well, here come that stupid little 5-pointer up out of the pond to about 20 yards. And I turn around behind me, and there's does downwind of me that had snuck up and got there. I didn't know they were there. They blew at me and turned around and trotted off. Well,
should have been using your common spray.
I know what. The deer in front of me, well, I got on that, a funny note on that in a second. The deer in front of me, the bigger one, made it out to the cornfield, and then he worked his way down the edge, and I decided he wasn't a shooter. He was a 3.5-year-old that I've got pictures of, real tight racked 8-pointer. So I put the bow down and picked up the camera and got a little bit of him, but not very good. Anyway, he run off. He never did smell me. He got downwind of me, but he was way too concerned with what those does were doing. And then he trotted off. Well, that little buck come up to about 10 yards, and then he turned and ran right beside me. He turned and ran like right underneath the tree, so I got a little bit of video of him. And then he took off. And I didn't see anything again for a little bit. So I'm sitting there, and the deer shouldn't have came where they came from, those does, and then the Spencer. But I turned around and was just kind of looking in the cornfield just to make sure, and I saw a big body. Well, his antlers were behind a tree, so I pulled the binoculars up. Sure enough, it was him, and I had caught him right before he hit my scent, like that invisible wall that they hit.
Scent line.
Uh-huh. And I got the camera up on him and started looking at him, and he got me and turned and blew and kind of trotted off. So it wasn't like he was totally busted. I thought, well, there's some hope he'll still be around, but man, I don't know. He's in a 4.5-year-old deer, big, so he's been around.
He knows you're there now.
So he trotted off with the does that he was with. And then the next morning, though, I got his picture at 5:45, which was 15 minutes before shooting light, give or take a minute or two, and about 10 minutes before I got there. So I didn't mess him up too bad. He was in there almost, like if he'd have been there 15 minutes later, I'd have killed him.
Right.
But anyway, that was the best morning that I'd had so far. After that, I hadn't seen many deer, but it was kind of interesting to me that he smelled me, but he didn't see anything. He didn't have anything else to go on. And even though he smelled that, he's still in the area, and he still came back through there. So I think if he gets me again, it's probably over. Mm-hmm. But they're also kind of partially, I think, used to the farmers and their smell and all that stuff. So I think that probably had something to do with it. But anyway, that was the best morning that I'd had so far.
So what was the interesting story about the calming spray?
So when he came out, when Spencer got downwind of me, and he was before he got downwind of me, he was going to hit my wind. I turned around and looked in my pack for my tarsal spray. Well, I didn't have it in the big zipper. I had it in the little zipper in front. And I turned around, and you could hear me on the camera, which I cut it out of the vlog. But I said, man, where's that scent? Oh, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it because I was going to try to just shoot something. Because I've done it before where if they're outside of like 50, 60 yards, if I'll spray that stuff, then it'll float out there, and then almost like they catch me, and then they catch the whiff of that, whatever that deer is. It's almost like they don't really know what's going on. So even if they do turn around and run off, they haven't blown. But I've had them do that before where they just kind of stand there and look for a minute, and then they go on their merry way. Yep. So that's what I was going to do, but I couldn't find the stuff. It was in that front zipper pocket, and I couldn't get it out. But I don't know that it made a difference. He was right under 100 yards when he stopped.
So you used the tarsal or the calming?
I would have used the tarsal spray. That's what I had, but either one I think would probably have the same effect. The tarsal spray is just a little bit stronger, so I think maybe you get
I don't know that calming spray. That first squirt I put on there, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. Well,
that stuff is strong.
It's a little bit different smell to them, is what I should say.
Different.
Because
it didn't bother that little forkhorn at all. I mean, as soon as he smelled that.
He wasn't exactly a genius.
No, but, I mean, a deer's a deer. You know,
that's true.
They're instinct. They have instincts.
Yep. And as soon as he smelled that, boy, he threw his head up. Like I said, he just come straight to me on a string. You couldn't have drawn a straighter line. And it was straight downwind to me. And I was like, well, I'm not going to shoot him. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to video him and see what happens. And, well, you seen the video that I posted on Facebook. He'd look up at me and wag his tail and, go on and smell around and walk around. And it's like he was looking for a deer, but he just couldn't find it. Mm-hmm. And so finally he just gave me one more glance, wagged his tail, and walked off.
Yep. And before the last time I hunted there in the blind at the cabin, I sprayed some of the calming spray out in front of it because I left the windows open the last time. They've been open for like about a week.
Had any squirrels or coons in there?
They weren't in there when I climbed in.
See?
I did check first. But I sprayed some calming scent out there because of that, because they were a little bit spooky. I thought, well, we'll see if this calms them down, and like it's supposed to. And then I sprayed the doe scent out there too, so I'm curious to see on the camera if they go smell both spots or how they act now that I sprayed that stuff out there. Because I didn't end up seeing any deer that night. There was a couple does in the food plot 65 yards away, but I didn't end up seeing any that night. So I'll be curious to pull the card on that camera and see how they reacted to it. That'll be kind of.
And I ain't got a camera where my climber is, but I told you the other night I was going to leave my climber there, and so whenever I clumped down, I just took that calming spray and I sprayed it on that climber and tried to eliminate any human scent because it's right there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that makes a difference because the morning before that or the evening before that, I told you I walked in there to my climber and there was 4 does bedded within 5 or 10 yards of my climber,
Yeah.
And I jumped them up and they didn't really spook. Of course, I was on the downwind side of them, but they just kind of got up and moved out of my way. Mm-hmm. And I'll let them go about their business, and I'll climb my tree. And then before dark, a couple of them come back out, and walked in front of me. So
I think that's probably a lot like the cameras. Like you got some human scent on them, but they'll come up and check them out and then realize that it's nothing to be scared of.
We've seen that, haven't we?
Yeah. I got some like that too. Yeah. Recently, where they're just.
Anybody that runs cameras has pictures.
Yeah, one of them I came by and I had it on a water hole, and I set the camera straight with the tree, and then when we went to check the card, it was cockeyed. Well, the only picture I had on there was this little buck that had come up and nudged that thing around with his nose and put the camera cockeyed. So the pictures I did have after that were like this, sideways, from where he'd messed with it. But yeah.
Well, I had video of probably a 2.5-year-old buck. He hit the camera with his horn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's basically what
this doe fogged the lens up on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now one doe, we could count her eyelashes.
Yeah. So. Right. Yeah. I think that's probably the same thing with the climber. They probably did come up and check it out, and then we're like, yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Now, if you have, say, your backpack at the bottom of your tree, while you're hunting and they come smell that thing, they probably look up, and then when they see you with the smell, then it's over.
Yeah.
But if they don't, a lot of times it seems like if they don't put at least two together, like if they hear you and they smell you, or they see you and they smell you, see you, hear you, if they put two of those three together, it seems like it's over with. If it's just one of them, a lot of times, even if it might, like smelling, for example, or seeing, it might ruin it for that hunt, but they may be okay with coming back.
And I think they rely more on their nose than they do their sense of smell than they do their eyesight or their.
Yeah, well, their eyesight's not that great.
Yeah.
I'm well at distance. Now, what's good about their eyesight is they basically see in slow motion, and they're focused on everything around them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they're not just focused on one point like we are. They can see everything in focus. But I think I saw something the other day where they're like 20/60 is their eyesight or whatever. So they're 3 times worse than ours or something like that. So when they're standing there looking at you and you're like in a stare down with them, and it looks like they're trying to figure out what you are, it's because they are trying to figure out what you are because you're blurry to them. But, yeah, I think their nose isn't necessarily there for defense. It's more for, like, sniffing out food and whatnot. But it's so ultra sensitive that it's just kind of like if they smell something they don't like, yeah, they're out of there. I think you're right, though. I think if you have a deer come downwind of you and he smells you, you got a lot worse chance of still shooting him either in that sit or even after that than if he sees you. Unless he smells you and he sees you, or maybe he hears something he doesn't like and sees you. You know,
yeah.
I saw a video recently of a guy. He runs a bunch of those horizontal scrapes or rubs, which people have their own opinions about those. I have no opinion on them. He seems to have a lot of luck with it. Anyway, he had this buck on a horizontal rub. He shot and missed him. The deer looked right up at him because he went to grab another arrow, and I guess the buck saw him moving, so he looks right up at him, and then he still had time. I mean, the buck, he never did spook off. He just kind of looked up at him and realized it wasn't right. He trotted off a little bit, and then he stopped and was walking, and the guy still got draw back on him a second time, didn't get a shot, but if they see you, as long as you're not up there doing jumping jacks or something, you know, if you just try to stay still.
Well, and especially with the introduction of turkeys back where we're at now, you know, they look up there and see the big blob. They might, as long as they can't smell you, you know, to really identify you, they might think of you as just a turkey. And I'm saying this to lead in up to this. I know some guys that I've talked to that hunt, and they swear by this. Whenever they walk into the woods, they have a turkey mouth call, and they'll use that mouth call as they're walking in, because you know what a turkey sounds like walking through the woods.
Yep.
You know, it's on 2 legs just like we are.
Yep.
You know, and so they make a lot of noise. You can hear them coming. Well, them guys will use that mouth call to try to calm deer down and make them think that, you know, well, this is a turkey, and kind of relax them a little bit so maybe they can slip by.
Yep.
I've wanted to try that. I'm not good at any kind of a mouth call, so
right.
You know, but I think that, you know, I think they're on to something.
Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah. Like, I know guys that do, well, they talk about, it's a whole different thing, but like elk hunters will take their mouth calls for their cow elk, and they'll make like as much noise as possible because they want to sound like a herd of elk, and then they'll just mew or whatever they call it as they're going through there. Yeah. And turkey hunters will do the same thing. If they're walking, they'll use it. It makes sense that if a deer hears something walking, obviously it doesn't realize that it's a person. It just sounds like something walking in the woods. If you got a turkey call, maybe they just write it off instead of coming and checking it out.
Right.
And then, or it just,
or
it doesn't pique their
alert.
interest. Yeah. Yep. So I think they probably are onto something there.
Yeah.
So I got to practice a little more with the mouth call too. Okay. I'm not real good. Nate's pretty good at it.
I'm not a turkey hunter, so I mean,
I just killed my first one last year, so I am not either.
Yeah.
And that was mostly because Nate was there calling them for me.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
I've been a few times, but it just never really was something I wanted to get into.
But it was cold, so it wasn't like it was a hot spring day, and the bugs weren't bothering us and that stuff. So
and turkey mites eating you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. I'll probably do it again this year. Yeah. But
anyway.
Yeah, I think you're probably onto something with the turkey calling. Can't hurt anything. I heard the same evening that I saw them roost up there, they were coming in behind me, and of course there's 8 of them, and there was a deer mixed in there apparently, because this little ignorant Spike thinks he's a turkey, I guess, running around with them. And I heard them all running around back there, and I thought, oh man, there's deer chasing. This isn't what it sounded like. But then, sure enough, here comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turkeys, and I'm looking at them coming out. I'm getting my camera and kind of messing around, and I turn and look, and well, that's not a turkey. He's just right there. He's like the 5th in line of 8 turkeys, like he's just hanging out with them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's all on the vlog. So if anybody listening wants to go check that out, we do have, me and Nate have, I've got a few videos up. Nate's got one video up. He had some cool footage of a young buck. I don't know if you watched that or not, but he had a young 3.5-year-old buck come in. Pretty nice deer, 120 probably. Nosed some does around in his food plot there in the sprout patch. That was a pretty cool video that he had up. But we're doing some season vlogs, so you can keep up with that on the YouTube channel. And then I keep trying to get Jeff to do one, but the last time we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, and I really put a lot of effort into that, too.
I could tell.
I did. I mean,
tell.
from the time I left the truck, I explained what I was doing, where I was going, all the way up to the kill, and
we just got to work on the audio capture and the angles.
Hey, I am not a professional.
No, I don't claim to be either.
At anything.
I don't claim to be either. I think that's probably as good a place as any to shut her down for the evening. We'll, hopefully.
What about the shop? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm about to
because
about our shop.
We went hunting Sunday night and just seen those few, and then Monday morning you blew my phone up showing me pictures. Oh, the rut's on. I'm like, of course, a day late and $1 short. Story of my life.
Well, I forget what day it was that I didn't go.
All of them?
No. Oh. No, I did go and I didn't see any deer. It's November 7th, because that's the day, that's like, that's one of the best days, I think. 7th through the 11th is, personally, my opinion, one of the best days. But anyway, it was the 7th. I remember that.
That was Monday.
Was that Monday? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was the day that, like, the first 6 deer that I saw hanging on the rail were all shooters.
I caped
except minus
deer came in Monday.
Minus one of them that had a broken main beam that would have been a shooter otherwise. Obviously was to that guy. Nothing wrong with the deer. He just had broke his whole main beam on the right side.
All mature.
Oh, yeah.
4.5 plus, 160s plus.
A couple of them, yeah.
They're just smoking them right now.
One of them was 175 and some change. Another one of them was 162 and some change.
I'm telling you, they're just smoking them. They're still smoking them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
and with this weather change, they're going to smoke more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to get hot this weekend.
Well, it'll be last weekend.
Yeah.
Whatever.
This past weekend.
It got hot.
Hopefully, like I was going to say, when it was winding down here, hopefully next podcast we'll have a buck to talk about from either me or you or Nate or somebody. We'll have one on the ground this weekend.
Yeah, I don't have
a lot. Weekend.
I don't have a lot of faith in myself. It's just, but
you don't have to be good this time of year.
That's right.
You just got to be there at the right time.
Yeah, you do have to be out there.
I got to be out there.
You just got to be there at the right time.
And so I'm hoping mornings will pay out for me. I go hunt tomorrow morning, which is Friday. Hunt till probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. It kind of seems to be where they calm down just a little bit. And I'll come up here and probably work at the shop the rest of the day. Saturday, I got to go back to work that day and fill in for a guy, and then I'll have Sunday and Monday. So I'm hoping sometime in those 3 days of the mornings, maybe I can cash in on something.
Yep. I got a hot doe apparently at the cabin right now. So the plan is Friday, tonight's tomorrow. Friday, I'm going to sit as long as I can stand it or until I shoot one, which is hopefully about, 6:30. But if it's 8:45 or noon, I'm going to try to hunt. If I have to hunt all day tomorrow, I might just hunt all day there tomorrow because I know there's a hot doe in there, and they were running in it, and there's bound to be one of them left in there. So we'll see. Hopefully, like I said, by the time this comes out, we'll have a buck on the ground.
Yeah. Well, it's time to get aggressive. I mean, all cards are on the table right now.
Yeah. I mean,
shotgun season's next weekend.
That's the big thing. Because
so that's putting a lot of pressure on bow hunters, to get it done before shotgun season comes up. And
there's a lot of guys getting it done.
There
pressure
is.
or not, they're getting it done right now.
There's some,
but they're out there.
There's a lot of guys taking their vacation right now.
There's some states that don't have a gun season like through November. You can bow hunt all November. Like I think Iowa's one where it's bow season all through November. Missouri's rifle season comes in like the week before our shotgun season, I think. But like you said, that's the big wild card in it all, is as we get closer to gun season, if you know you're going to have a lot of gun pressure, you might want to get a little more aggressive. If you're in a spot where you know they're not going to get a lot of pressure or you have enough ground, you can still hunt smart. And not that being aggressive is not smart, but you can still hunt smart and be aggressive, but if you have the ground and the deer are not going to get that pressure, you don't necessarily have to go in and do something that's higher risk. But like where we're at a lot of places,
it's all high risk.
Yeah, if we want to get them killed, we're going to have to take a little bit more risk, because if we don't do it, it's likely that they're going to get either pushed away or shot during shotgun weekend.
I mean, I still try to play the wind.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not just going to go in there stupid. But you might go in there.
Well, I'm stupid. Anyway.
Well, the hell's got to do with anything?
Yeah, that's right.
You're not going to. You might just be going in a little farther, a little deeper or something.
I'm going to go in a little bit deeper, a little bit tighter to the bedding areas and stuff, and try to do something there, see if I can't pull something together. I mean,
don't look at me. I'm leaving that alone.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, you should. So, but
yeah.
Goodness gracious. Anyways, yeah, I went off the rail there.
Yeah, we're gonna shut it down before we get too far off.
We should, because I'm done.
You heard us talk about it a lot, and there the plot at Jeff's, the Grandpa Ray Outdoors seed that we got. I'm thoroughly impressed with what's there at your place. And everything we've put on client properties, I've been pretty impressed with, too. Even the dry year we had, we caught the right rain there at your place. There are some places where I planted it where they didn't get any rain till later, and still seems to be coming up as good as you could expect for as dry as it's been. But they were started in 2015, Grandpa Ray Outdoors was, but John O'Brien's been in the nutrition business since 91. They've got over 14 different food plot blends to choose from, so whether you're looking for grains, switchgrass, liquid fertilizer, spring blends, fall blends, you're not going to have any trouble finding what you're looking for. They're not just about selling their products, though. They'll answer any questions you got about what blends would be best for your specific property. That way you can get the best results possible. John doesn't believe in a cookie-cutter approach to wildlife nutrition, and they'll treat you and your situation individually. They aren't about a fancy label or package. They're about good quality seed and taking care of their clients. Like, again, we've used their seed a lot, been pretty impressed with it, really like what we've been seeing from it. Nate's sprout patch plot has been getting hit hard. It looks really good. Both of his plots look good. Your plot there at the house looks good. That's the Southern Jubilee blend. Nate's got Inner Sanctum and Fall Draw in, and I've got some greens and greens there at the cabin. They're starting to look pretty good. So anything that I've planted from them has been quality stuff. So if you guys want to support us and get yourself some good food plot seed, go to grandparayOutdoors.com and use discount code RHO Podcast, no caps, no space, to get 5% off your entire order. So that's one way you can support. Another way, if you're in a state where you can do it, and more specifically a state and a county where you can do it, because like Missouri, for example, there's some counties where you can't use supplements either. Check out RHO's Big Game Supplements. They're a veteran-owned company out of northeast Nebraska, and they're deer hunters. They are deer hunters just like us. They were looking to get more out of the mineral and feed market than existed at the time. So through years of research, they developed their RHO products and came up with one of, in my opinion, the best mixes available to improve your herd's overall health. They've got minerals, protein blocks, pelletized feed, and meal feed, all specifically designed for whitetails. Rod's been using it over in Missouri. We got some pictures there at some other places in Missouri where the deer just hammered the mineral stuff that was put out earlier in the fall and the summer, and on the protein blocks as well. Everything over there in Missouri has been doing doing really good as far as the camera pictures go. We got some good bucks on it. We got a lot of does and fawns, which is really what you want on the mineral sites. So if you guys want to use that stuff, go to raksmineral.com. That's RAKS mineral.com and use discount code RHO22, capital RHO22 at checkout to get 5% off your entire order. You can also stop in the shop and see what we got in stock or make an order for what we don't. Same way with Grandpa Ray's. You can get anything we got in the shop or make an order if we don't have something. Save yourself some money on shipping. You can also go to Ridgehunteroutdoors.com, which is our website. And if you want to get something there, whether it's the calming spray that we talked about tonight, the buck doe tarsal spray, the food plot seed, any of our apparel, anything like that, merchandise, you can use discount code RHOPOD. That's all capitals, and you'll get 10% off anything on the whole website. So save yourself some money, support the podcast.
Hey,
while
I've
you're
seen
at
on
it.
Facebook where the big buck leader in your contest was using doe tarsal.
Yep.
Yeah, she's pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's something I should update everybody on. We did have a change in the leaderboard for the big buck contest. Aaron Dahlmer shot a 150 plus. I don't remember exactly the inches right now. I didn't have it pulled up because, well, I'm ill prepared. That goes back to that unprofessional thing that we talked about. But she's the new leader in the big buck contest, and like you said, they were using some of the doe tarsal spray at the time. She said she sprayed that stuff out there, and they just came out of everywhere. She had bucks in there on her all night, she said. So on the Ridge Hunter Outdoors website, there's a tab for the big buck contest where you can go check out all of that stuff, and the trophy room as well. If you guys want to see some of the bucks that have been killed with the Ridge Hunter products, you can go check those on the website. Another cool thing we're doing is we're doing a giveaway for our Apple Podcast reviews. So when we get to 25 reviews, everybody who's submitted one on Apple Podcast, whether it's 5 stars or 1 star, will be entered to win a Wild Game Innovations Spark 2.0 trail camera combination pack. So it'll be the trail camera, it'll be all the batteries that you need, and the SD card. So take it out of the pack, put it together, you'll be ready to go. All you got to do to enter that is go to the Ridge Hunter Outdoors page on Apple Podcast, leave us a review. Like I said, it doesn't have to be good, 5 stars, 1 star, whatever, and you'll be entered. As soon as we hit 25 reviews, we'll make an announcement on the podcast and on our Facebook page, and we'll get a hold of the winner. We'll draw somebody randomly from the review pool, and you'll win that Spark trail camera from Wild Game Innovations. So get on there and leave us a review. That really helps us out as far as support goes. Same thing on Spotify. If you guys give us a follow, that'll help us out. And then on YouTube, the Full Draw Friday episodes are now up on YouTube. These are, of course, always on YouTube. We're going to do video again at some point. Not yet, but nonetheless, these podcasts are still on YouTube. We've got our vlogs that are going up now. About every day that I'm out there, I'm trying to put something up. Same way with Nate. As long as he sends me the videos, as soon as he gets them to me, it's usually within a day or two of when we're out, you'll have a video go up so you guys can kind of keep up with not only maybe what's going on with us, but what's going on, what we're seeing in the woods. So maybe if you're not able to get out, at least you'll have an idea of what's going on out there. And then we've also got other videos going up all the time too. So check that out on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe, like, and comment. Again, any of the likes and comments on the videos, this video will help us out as far as support goes. That all goes into the YouTube algorithm. So we'll get more views from that. So you guys also make sure and share it on Facebook with all your friends if you like what we're doing here. And you're
What if
learning
we
something.
don't have any friends?
Well, share it with yourself. Yeah.
Jeff?
never mind.
I share a lot of things myself.
Yeah, there you go. So those are all ways you guys can support. Again, thanks for listening. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. That's Jeff's intro. That's not the right one. We might as well,
Well,
go
you
ahead and
messed
play
that
it.
all up,
We might as
didn't
well
you?
go ahead and play it now.
Yeah, might as well.
My name is what? My name is what? My name is Jeff.
That's Jeff's new intro that we're going to use at some point. But what I meant to hit is the Ridge Hunter Outdoors outro. So, again, unprofessional. But hopefully that's what you guys are like listening to.
Nonetheless,
Yeah,
it happened.
so thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you again next Monday. Hopefully we'll have our stuff together by then. Thanks, guys.